So I remember hearing the story of a young man who recently became a Christian, and when his friend heard that he was still sleeping with his girlfriend, he confronted him about it. And he said something along the lines of, "Dude, why are you still sleeping with your girlfriend? You're a Christian now." And being surprised, he was all, "What are you talking about?" So long story short, this young man, being a new Christian and unfamiliar with a lot of what the Bible taught, honestly did not know that sex outside of marriage was wrong. And one issue that I see today in the church is them regularly partaking in the sin of gossip. And like this young man here, there's probably many believers that have no idea they're committing this sin. And in their minds, they're just spilling the tea or venting their feelings or even sharing a prayer request like, "You should pray for Billy because he's struggling." Wink, wink. So if you're a believer, I'm gonna be upfront with you. Gossip is a sin. And James chapter 1 verse 26 tells us that if someone calls themselves a Christian and they do nothing to control the words that come out of their mouth, their faith and religion are worthless. So all that to say, our goal for this video is to make it clear what gossip is so that we can encourage believers to repent and so that we can focus on how we can use our words to build people up.
We'll get back to the video in just a sec. First, I want to say thanks to today's sponsor, Private Internet Access VPN. If you're like most people, you use the internet every day without realizing how much of your personal data is out in the open. Your browsing history, your location, your searches, it's all out there for companies, hackers, and even your internet provider to see. That's why I use PIA VPN. PIA encrypts your connection, hides your IP address, and keeps your online activity private, with servers in 91 countries and all 50 US states, so you can connect securely from just about anywhere. One of the things I really like about PIA is that it's 100% open source. That means anyone can look at the code and see exactly how it works. No secrets or hidden backdoors. It's just full transparency, so your privacy tools are actually protecting your privacy. It also lets you unlock shows and movies that aren't available in your country. For example, the TV series Sherlock isn't on Netflix in the US, but if you connect to a server in France, you can start streaming it right away. Right now, Impact viewers can get an exclusive 83% discount plus 4 extra months free. That's just $2.03 a month, and it's totally risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee. Just go to piavpn.com/impactvideoministries or click the link in the description to get started today. Again, that's piavpn.com/impactvideoministries. Protect your connection, protect your privacy, and enjoy the freedom to watch what you want.
Fact number 1. Gossip is when your words don't honor secrets. Proverbs chapter 11 verse 13. Whoever goes about slandering reveals secrets, but he who is trustworthy in spirit keeps a thing covered. In this passage, King Solomon, who wrote Proverbs, talked about how a slanderer reveals secrets, but someone who's trustworthy keeps secrets. And since Solomon was a wise king over God's people, he knew a thing or two about handling secrets. Because when you're running a kingdom, you have to be careful with how information is handled, and that means knowing who to trust with all kinds of information, especially when they pertain to money, military, and foreign threats. And going back to the passage, you should know that the Hebrew word for slandering could also be translated as gossip. And it meant to go around and spread information that was given to them without concern for the people who gave them that information. You know, there have been quite a few times when I'd be talking to a good friend of mine and they'd start telling me about a particular struggle they had. And many times I'd ask them if they shared their struggles with anyone else, and sadly many times they said, "No, you're the only one that knows." And whenever I reach this place with anyone, I always feel honored because someone chose to trust me. And normally after our conversation, we feel like we've grown closer as friends. You know, if you look at Psalm chapter 25 verse 14, it says the secret of the Lord is for those who fear him, meaning that God is willing to share hidden information with those who fear him. And I'd say it's in these intimate conversations that relationships really grow. So I want you to understand here that oftentimes between people, there can be a special intimacy that's shared through vulnerability and the sharing of information. And King Solomon said that a slanderer or gossip gives secrets, but someone trustworthy keeps them. So for you, if someone shares information with you that at all seems sensitive and it was shared with you privately, learn to honor the person who confided in you and to keep the information they trusted you with to yourself. Now, there's some obvious exceptions. If someone shares with you that they struggle with thoughts of suicide, the loving thing would be to get them help. But if someone shares their painful past, or personal struggle, or private ideas, don't be a gossip and spread that information. Instead, learn to honor people who shared their private life with you. Because when you do, what's happening is you growing in your character by learning to be faithful and trustworthy. Fact number 2, gossip is when your words cause more problems than they solve. Proverbs chapter 26, verse 20. Without wood, a fire goes out. Without a gossip, a quarrel dies down. So in this passage, King Solomon uses a word for gossip that literally means whisperer. So in King Solomon's mind, there's this kind of person who goes around and whispers in a way that is like fuel to a fire. And this person may not look dangerous because they're not shouting or making a scene, but they throw a little comment here or a little rumor there. Like, did you hear what so-and-so did? Or, do you want to know what I heard about them? So going back to the passage, I want you to see the beauty of Solomon's wisdom in this verse. And he says if quarrels are likened to a fire and die down when this gossip or whisperer is absent, then we can imply that the fuel to feed the fire can be removed. So when it comes to gossip, you need to know what it is. And according to this passage, there's specific words that lead to quarreling. And many times, people are like this whisperer, and they make some comments about this person here, and they add some criticisms about this other person there. And what ends up happening is that they're causing all these little fires and building all this drama by talking about everybody behind their back. So when you're confronted with people who love to talk about others, you have a choice to make. You could either add to the fire by continuing the conversation, or you step away from the fire and choose not to participate in those talks. Because every time you hold back from whispering a rumor or repeating a hurtful story, you're removing fuel from the fire. And this reminds me of Proverbs chapter 12, verse 18, that says that the tongue of the wise promotes health. Meaning, if we're Christians and followers of God, instead of using our words to build fires, we should use our words to bring health to the people around us. Fact number 3, gossip is when your words divide friends rather than build them. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 28. A perverse person stirs up conflict, and a gossip separates close friends. In this passage, King Solomon defines gossip as something that hurts friendships. And as a king of a nation in the ancient world, he understood the power of friendships. And I think one of the reasons why his kingdom was so great was because of his alliances with King of Tyre and Queen of Sheba, and because of his good relations with all 12 tribes of Israel. So going back to this passage, I want you to notice the multiple parties involved. You have close friends here, and then you have the gossip that separates those close friends. So when it comes to gossip, they are essentially words that have the power to damage friendships. So one way you can know that you're committing the sin of gossip is before you say something about someone else to another person or group, try to imagine that person you're about to talk about listening to your conversation. And when you do, think about if them hearing you talk would hurt your friendship with them. Because if it would, you are walking the exact path Solomon warned about, which leads to separating close friends instead of building them up. You see, back then, alliances and deep friendships weren't just nice to have, they were essential for safety. Because being surrounded by a community meant greater protection against threats and more help during tough seasons. So people kind of had this mentality that said, let me help you because I need you to survive, because you being well helps all of us. And you know what destroys these kinds of deep friendships? Gossip. You see, I feel like people who engage in gossiping and whispering and criticizing and judging, they just don't see their need for others in their life. Like, I know today we may not depend on close friendships to keep us physically alive like back then, but we do need people that we can actually trust and lean on for support when we mess things up. So all that to say, I think Christians would do well to pause before they speak and to say things that would help build the kind of friendships that they need in their life. And fact number 4, gossip is when you enjoy harmful words about others. Proverbs chapter 26, verse 22. The words of a whisperer are like delicious morsels. They go down into the inner parts of the body. In this passage, King Solomon used a powerful image to show why gossip is so tempting. And he called the words of a gossip delicious morsels, and morsels here refers to small bite-sized pieces of food that are all too easy to keep eating. It's kind of like how the first few bites of your favorite snack don't exactly fill you up. And so one chip leads to another chip, and pretty soon the whole bag's gone. And going back to this passage, that's exactly what gossip is. Words about others that you take in joyfully, even though they harm others. And this is a powerful image because it seems harmless. I mean, it's not me doing it. I'm not making the chips, I'm just eating them. So pay attention here, because the sin of gossip is not just committed when you're the one gossiping, because you can also commit it when you sit back and eat up all the gossip that other people are dishing out. You know, this reminds me of one of my failures in life. There was this one time I was on the wrestling team for my high school, and during this time, I was this broody teenager that wanted nothing to do with other people. And there was this kid on the team that was getting bullied during practice one day, and he was held down forcefully and he was mocked by other wrestlers. And looking at the whole thing, I didn't care. And I continued training, but later on, our coach got really upset. And he wasn't just mad at the guys responsible, he was mad at all of us on the team. And he asked all of us, why didn't you all do anything? And honestly, it made me realize something very important that day. Doing nothing in the face of evil is the same thing as approving it. So when it comes to gossip, I want to encourage you to learn from my mistakes and to not just do and say nothing when people start gossiping about other people. And the reason why we need to stop gossip before it spreads further is because one chip always leads to another chip. I mean, I know it sounds silly, but if we choose to listen to gossip, seriously speaking, when will it all end? Because this passage says that these tasty morsels will go down into the inner parts of our body. Meaning, those words don't just go away. They sit there, and it'll start shaping how we see people and how we feel about them. So the thing I want you to take away from all this is that consuming all that gossip does something to you. It affects you, and it can change your heart and your character, and you'll slowly drift into the kind of person who feeds on what tears others down instead of building them up. And if you're not careful, over time, that sin will become easier and easier to excuse, and you'll hardly notice the damage you've done to yourself and other people. Okay? So here's everything you need to know about gossip. Gossip is when your words don't honor secrets. Gossip is when your words cause more problems than they solve. Gossip is when your words divide friends rather than build them up. And gossip is when you enjoy harmful words about others. To close, I honestly think that one of the best ways to avoid gossip is to simply pause and think before we speak. And then to think if what we'll say could hurt either our friendship or someone else's friendship with someone else. I want you to look at Matthew chapter 12, verse 36. But I tell you that everyone will have to give account on the day of judgment for every empty word they have spoken. So pay attention here, because it says that God will take into account every empty word that's spoken. So if that's the case, we need to make sure that our words have substance and to use them in such a way that brings life, healing, and encouragement to the people around us. And if we do this and we use our words well, I think people will take us more seriously when we tell them, Jesus loves you.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching that video. If it was a blessing to you, please consider liking, subscribing, and ringing that notification bell so you don't miss a single upload. I also want to give a huge shout out to our team listed below. Their hard work makes this whole thing possible, so give them some love. Their links are in the description below. We also want to say a big thank you to our newest members who joined this week. We appreciate you guys so much. Your support makes videos like this possible, so thanks for being a part of this journey. If you'd like to support us in the work we're doing, please consider becoming a member. For the price of a coffee each month, you can be contributing towards reaching people online with the gospel message. Click the link in the description below and become a part of the community today. Thanks so much for your support, and we'll see you all next time. God bless.